Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. I'm here with Russ McKell. Did I say that right,
Yep.
Russ? Russ, I'm excited for the episode. You seem like an easygoing guy. Sociology teacher
Yeah.
in high school.
Yep.
I was a psychology teacher.
Sweet.
Um, Thanks for coming on, man. I know it's not easy to talk about this stuff.
It's my pleasure.
I'm going to read your brother Steve's obituary to start.
Yeah.
I noticed in his picture for this obituary, he's got a Metallica hat on. Well, is it? It's the snake. Don't tread on me.
It's he was definitely a "Don't Tread on Me" guy.
That's a Metallica.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't
Yeah.
Metallica. Yeah, he was a pretty serious Metallica guy.
Well, that's great. And then Steve, your brother, not only is he a Metallica fan, but he shares a birthday with my wife Courtney. He was born July 14th, 1976.
Right on.
So that's, man, the synchronicities. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve McKell. He was born July 14th, 1976. I'm not going to mention the death date. Do you mind telling us why? I think it's cool. Just your perspective on that. I just want about the death date.
So I'm a high school teacher, and there are a lot of I'm a high school teacher with kids that are that are what we refer to them as like at risk. So my high school are kids that are in state's custody,
Okay.
group homes, foster, proctor type homes. So a lot of 90% of my my high school students have been through some level of trauma. Many of them have lost some people. And as I've experienced that over the course of my career, I see people who mark those days when someone has passed, and I see that it can have a real weight on a life rather than a way to remember. And I certainly am one of those people who could get bogged down in a day when somebody left my life. And so I don't know, maybe 6 months or so ago when I knew that my brother's death date was arriving. I can't remember his death date right now. And I specifically just texted my family and I was like, hey, you guys can remember him in any way you'd like. And I would respect that, but I would ask you not to say out loud that the day that he died.
Gotcha.
And then that way I can just remember him for who he was. And not, I love his birthday. His birthday's a big deal for me. And that's the day when I will celebrate his life rather than remembering the day that he died.
No, yeah, it's very unique. Most people have the death date tattooed.
Kind of seared.
Yeah, somewhere.
Right.
So I just thought that was different. So
yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not the best reader, so I'm gonna do my best reading this, and sometimes I cry, and it's weird. So
I would cry if I were reading that.
No disrespect.
No, perfectly fine.
Okay, Steve Williams McKell lost his battle with addiction on Saturday. Not doing the date. Sorry. He fought the good fight, and in the end, with grace and mercy, God brought his son home. Steve was born July 14th, 1976 in Provo, Utah to Mac and Michelle McKell. He had two brothers, JD and Russ, and one sister, Amy. Steve was a master of all trades and could make anything and fix everything. He was a talented builder and finish carpenter. He had an eye for even the smallest details and completed every project with perfection. If you needed help, Steve was the first to show up and never expected anything in return, except maybe a Sloppy Joe. He's a big Sloppy Joe fan, huh? Steve was a straight shooter and called things the way he saw them. You never had to wonder where you stood with Steve. He was funny and irreverent and loved to make you laugh at just the right time and at all the wrong things. Sounds like my brother Ray's. Yeah, I feel like that's you a little bit too.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. They either laugh or cry sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to make jokes.
Yeah.
Okay. Although we were never quite sure what would come out of his mouth, we always knew how he felt in his heart about the people he loved. He was a big guy with a tough exterior, but had a soft spot and deep loyalty for his family and friends. If you were blessed to know Steve, your life was better for it. Steve attended school in American Fork. In 1998, he married Colette Flack, and together they were blessed with a son, Ridge. Although they later divorced, Colette and Steve remained shining examples of positive co-parenting and always did what was best for the boy. Steve considered Ridge his greatest accomplishment and loved him more than anything in the world. On September 17th, 2016, Steve married his lucky penny, in parentheses, so I'm thinking that's a nickname, Kim Turlink. Together they began a life filled with outdoor adventures and unconditional love. Sweet Kimberly, as Steve called her, was his rock, safe place, and the love of his life. Our family will be forever grateful to Kim for her unwavering love and support of Steve. At the time of his death, Steve was employed with Edge Homes. He enjoyed working there and valued the lifelong friendship he made. Steve is survived by his wife Kim, his son Ridge, and two amazing stepkids, Harper and Simon. He leaves behind his parents, Mac and Michelle McKell, parents-in-law Karen and Deloy Weaver, brothers JD and Russ, and sister Amy, as well as cherished nieces and nephews who loved being around him and always saw the good in him. He leaves behind an extended family on both sides. He was preceded in death by his grandparents. Steve was larger than life, and he leaves a hole that will never be filled. He loved the movie Tombstone because of the relationship between Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. In Doc's final moments of life, Wyatt tells Doc all he ever wanted was a normal life. Doc explains, "There's no normal life, Wyatt. There's just life.
Yeah.
Now get on with it. Live every second. Live right up to the end. Live, Wyatt. Live for me." We don't know a life without Steve, but we are going to try our best to get on with it and live every second right up to the end the best we can for Steve. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Who wrote that?
My sister.
Wow.
She's got a real way with words.
Yeah, I think it's so weird because death is and grief, it's so real and raw, like it's the realest thing and it changes you. And I think sometimes you think like you've learned so much, like you've learned all this wisdom.
Yeah.
And you have a better understanding of what life is.
Right.
And I do think that, like, I agree with that. And the shocking thing is it's this tombstone thing. Like that's what I learned is the simplicity of life. Like what I lost was that there's nothing better than that.
Right.
All the other things I was chasing.
Yeah.
There is nothing better than being with the people you love every day and interacting with them and having relationships with them.
Right.
Like, that is it.
That's it.
I'm not sure what we're chasing everything else for.
Absolutely.
Can I just read this tombstone thing again? Because this is really my perspective of life.
Yeah.
In Doc's final moments of life, Wyatt tells Doc all he ever wanted was a normal life.
Yeah.
Doc explains, "There's no normal life, Wyatt. There's just life. Now get on with it." Like,
live.
Yeah, like this is like
right.
I remember like sorry, I don't know.
You're good.
I remember I'd come home from work and Courtney and I would take the kids to the park and we'd walk them to the park and then we'd play at the park and we'd walk back. And I remember like getting home from work and then I had other obligations like maybe a basketball practice or some trainings I had to do later that evening and then there's dinner. And sometimes like I just viewed the walk to the park as like a time killer.
Yeah.
Like we have 40 minutes before dinner or we have 40 minutes before whatever.
Right.
And now it's like, that was the best part of the day.
Right.
That was what we should have been doing more of. And that's just something that I've learned. And I think that tombstone quote just really, wow, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Just the simplicity of it. And that obituary was very well written.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your brother seems like a great guy.
He was the best.
Yeah, let's talk. It'll be a good one today. We'll Music's in. Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. Welcome back to the 1090 podcast, where life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. Russ, you were getting tattooed. Well, Ryan, you want to jump in? Your wife was tattooing Russ, and some magic happened, and then they were like, we got to interview this guy.
So I've never heard Ryan's side of this.
Okay.
Let me tell the story the way I normally tell people, and then I'm dying to hear like what Ryan.
I don't
like,
trust
what,
the thing Ryan
he
says
said.
anyway. So why would you?
So here's the deal. Sometime last year, I think it must have been October or something. One of the tattoo artists that I follow, Denise, put out a thing where she was doing this flash sale, and one of the things that she did was the Iron Giant screw.
Yeah. On your wrist right there. I noticed
so
that, by the way.
Yeah, right. Like,
I noticed
right
it.
from the start. You noticed.
I don't know how many people noticed it. I knew what it was.
love it when somebody like knows it, and it, it's fantastic.
Dude, the Iron Giant, that was my favorite movie as a kid.
Absolutely.
Like, Mom, put on the Iron Giant.
Yeah, and we raised our own kids with it. Like, it was really an important part of it's an important part of who I am.
Yeah.
I'm a comic guy. I love reading comics.
Who's your favorite superhero?
Oh, Hellboy all day, every day.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
That's a sneaky underdog.
Absolutely. We can talk about Hellboy as long as you want to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah. For a whole lot of reasons. But so I entered this little contest, and I won to get this little screw done by Denise. And
wait, I did not know that it was I didn't realize it was a contest that you had won.
So yeah, I think what it was like, basically you had to like anyone that like entered and did like their name or something like that. Okay. And then she chose, or randomly, or I don't really even know, but it was like a minor contest, I guess. And she did it like every day, I think.
Still, like the fact that it's by chance makes this story even more
super cool.
Okay.
So I was supposed to go in early December, late November or something, and she got like very sick, and she wrote and was like, listen, I'm not going to be doing anything for several weeks. Can you hold off? And I said, for sure. It's not a big deal. Within those weeks, my brother took his own life. And it had only been a couple of days. I don't remember how long it was, but man, I was raw. Like, I was super raw.
What does that mean? Like, angry?
I was angry. I was sad. I was
raw, meaning like you couldn't put on the fake face.
Raw, yeah. And I mean, listen, the kind of emotion that I was feeling, as a psychology teacher, I have taught the stages of grief 1,000 times.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't recognize the sheer ferocity and speed that you can go from denial to acceptance to bargaining to denial to anger and man, it goes. And for me, there were moments in those first few days that literally took me to my knees. Like, I was shuddering with just sobs, just racking sobs, that I just was never going to see my brother again. And so it was within those days where I was going to go get this tattoo. And prior to that, I had said to my two girls, is this a thing that you think would be cool on me? Because we raised you with this, movie. And they both were like, oh yeah, that's a super cool tattoo to get, whatever. So I kind of had their permission to, do that. And then my brother died. And we don't want to ruin the end. If you haven't seen Iron Giant, like, go watch it immediately. It's such a beautiful film. I don't
Yeah.
care if you're a child or an adult. Like it's great.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, like, what are you doing with your life?
Absolutely. What are you doing with your life?
You gotta watch it.
Yeah. You're incomplete.
And the ending, you gotta.
The ending. Yeah. So the ending has something to do with this screw, right?
Right.
And
we can talk about the ending.
can we talk about the ending?
We
Okay, yeah. So let's just do a quick spoiler.
The
like,
movie
listen,
came out 30
yep,
years ago.
Yep. If you
We're
haven't,
good.
right? Okay. So at the end, the Iron Giant has been it's seemingly destroyed, and there's a single screw that's left over from this destruction of the hero of the film. And then there's a tiny beeping and a tiny light that flashes on this screw, and then the screw begins to roll away somewhere. And it appears, at least from my perspective, that this robot will reassemble itself, right?
Right.
So this movie was great for my family, but gosh dang, as as a metaphor for what felt like a destructive act of a family that had been torn apart. I like to believe that there is some moment where something can be reassembled somewhere, sometime.
Yeah.
And so that then this screw took on like crazy meaning, right, for me. I show up for this appointment. Denise is there, and she starts to do it. We've never met. She starts to kind of get me ready, and I just think I'm going to need to let her know kind of where I'm at emotionally, because I don't really from minute to minute I might just break down. So she's almost ready, and I said, "Listen, I need to tell you something. My brother in the last few days has passed away. I'm incredibly tender right now. This screw has gone from meaning something really sweet and special to being very important to me. And in my memory, Denise was a bit curt. She was a bit like, okay. And I thought, okay, she doesn't need to, she doesn't have to feel for me at all. But she was just like, great. I said, okay, great. And then very quickly after that, Ryan shows up. And I didn't know, I thought we were alone in the studio.
Yeah.
And then here's Ryan. And he goes, hello. And I said, hey. And he goes, can I hug you? And Ryan held me like a brother. And we just stood there. And then Ryan said to Denise, tell him. And she goes, no. And then Ryan goes, who does he remind you of? And she goes, and then she starts to cry. And I'm like, what am I in the middle of?
Yeah, like.
And she says that she had lost someone special on the day I was there, like a year prior. So then we're all crying. And we talked for, a bit. And Ryan did all of the emotional support stuff. It really meant a ton to me. And it felt like the universe just needed us all to heal just a little bit. And to feel that emotion, to be there, and to feel that support and love from actual strangers was a pretty special moment. And then to get this tattoo was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that was. I was curious. Denise has been hounding me. She's like, "You got to get Russ on. You got to get Russ on." I'm like, I know, I got to get Russ on. Same with you were saying, Denise reached out this past December and wanted to say sorry and that she was thinking of you, and that's so Denise. Yeah, I was upstairs. So my end of the story is I'm upstairs editing.
Yeah, you're in the podcast room
Yeah.
above the tattoo shop, right?
And sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm not.
Right.
And I hear you and I hear about your brother.
Yeah.
And I'm like, with what we do.
You're literally editing. Who knows what you're editing? You're literally editing
About grief and loss. And you're like, this is what we do.
You're like, this guy needs a hug. I need a hug.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking, and this just goes to show like the reservations that people have with, I don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to help.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you from.
No.
From Adam. I think
No.
that's the word you're looking
for.
Yeah. Like,
right.
But all I know is I hear, and I haven't even seen you yet.
Right.
I'm upstairs. I'm just hearing this conversation and I'm thinking, I need to go downstairs and say that I'm really sorry and give this guy a hug. So that's like, so I go down there and then I see you
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, and I have the context of Denise as well. Because that morning I'm really sad about my Uncle Ron.
Yeah.
And I see you and I'm like, wow, before we even start talking, I'm like, wow, you kind of remind me of Ron a little bit. This is very weird. And then here's the kicker. What's your nickname? Like the Jedi thing because you said you were, or maybe it's not a nickname, but you said that you like the desert and like you liked exploring or I can't remember exactly.
I don't remember that part of the conversation.
I just remember you saying that you were like an explorer or a tour guide.
Yeah, so that was kind of the second. I mean, that even I think that happened a little bit later as I was getting tattooed.
Okay, yeah.
I said to her, like just sitting there, it just felt like the right thing. I had thought for a really long time about getting a Jedi tattoo, but for nature. Like, I don't want to be like a diplomat that goes and speaks to other diplomats. I want to be a Jedi that like looks out after the world, right? Like that defends.
We were talking earlier about how you just got back from a protest.
Yeah. So I just to a protest for national parks today.
So people know, like, Russ walks the walk. Okay. Yeah. So he says this, and my wife's uncle's nickname was the Desert Hobo, and like he would do tour guides, and he was just so connected with nature, and like there was all these things that were just reminding me of Ron. And I looked at Denise, and there's this part of me that doesn't want to say it to Denise because I'm like, I'm gonna break her,
right?
But I also feel like it's important in that moment, like, Kate, something's happening here,
right?
And like, I don't think it helps anyone to pretend like nothing's happening right now.
We have to acknowledge those moments in our lives, like acknowledge and act, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think everyone loves the analogy of like humanity's like the forest, like we're all connected with the roots,
for sure,
and which is great. But like if we really believe that, then we gotta talk to each other. Like if you really believe that, then we have to be vulnerable and open up.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what Ryan did was such a fantastic example of the kind of life I want to live. Yeah. Like to be able to step in a moment when, call it whatever you want, right? Like God or the world or the universe. I don't even care. Yeah. I just think we've all got a spark of truth in us. And when that spark is like, that person needs you.
Yeah.
Man, that's on you to say something.
Yeah, like
because the universe. I mean, you have been spoken to. You have to act on that, even when it's frightening, scary, or whatever. That's on us. We have to.
And I like how you didn't even mention what Ryan said. Like, I don't even know if you remember. Like, that's not. You just mentioned Ryan came down and gave me a hug like a brother,
right?
And we just held each other,
yeah.
And that like just show up, man. Like,
Absolutely.
you're not gonna know what to say.
And I also think we have to acknowledge that men are not as good at this as women. And being able to acknowledge, name, and then like hold each other as if we are brothers is so valuable. And it just isn't happening enough.
Yeah, you're the sociology expert guy. Why do you think men have a? Is it men just we can't be the weak ones? We got to be the strong ones.
Yeah, I think that there is kind of this weird expectation that we aren't allowed to show emotion, that we're not allowed sometimes to like laugh, right? Like we have to be stoic and stable and, you know, sturdy and all of those things. And man, I think it is so valuable to show sadness and weakness and emotion and to be able to say like, man, I'm hurting right now. How are you doing? Right? Like, I need you to know where I'm coming from. Because not only is it healthy for us to acknowledge just the own space that we've been in, but to let other people see it in us.
Yeah. What about the comparison thing too? I think men do this, whether it's grief or trauma. Like they'll compare it, like, "Oh, mine's not as bad as this guy,"
Right.
and he's not saying anything.
So yeah, we have to get rid of that completely.
Yeah.
Right. We have to get rid of that in every way. The way that I show grief and the way that somebody else shows grief are two different things.
And work on different timelines.
Completely.
Like I think sometimes the synchronicities are there, but you're just like the anger phase is there for you. You're just wait, like you'll get angry eventually. But some people might be in the sad phase.
Sure.
Like the emotions you were talking about earlier. And that's so funny when you mentioned the stages of grief, because when I do my public speaking, I'll talk about it sometimes. Like I was a psychology teacher. Yeah. I taught the stages of grief, and I did it so bad. Like, because everything you just said, like there's nothing linear about it. It's up and down, left and right. You might be stuck in one phase for years, or maybe you're going through all of them in one day.
Right.
And I think as time, I don't think time heals all wounds, but I think as time goes on, you're able to kind of withstand as you go in and out of those different phases.
Yeah.
And even our conversation today, like in this podcast, we are literally crying. Like we are crying during the obituary, and then we're laughing.
Right.
And that's
life. Like
that's
that Doc Holiday.
Right.
Life.
Yeah.
Like that is life.
Like, and I think I think a lot of those emotions can not only you can flip from one to the other really quickly. I think sometimes they coexist even. Like
absolutely.
They're just both there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that like acknowledging it, but also like embrace that emotion. Like I think recognizing it, but then just take it in, you know? Like when you're ecstatic, be ecstatic. Like recognize that that's happening. And this doesn't have to do with grief. It certainly does. But I just think as my own philosophy of life, just recognizing your emotions. You know, I mean, I've been doing real good with, I mean, okay, that was a terrible way to say it.
The other emotion kicks in and corrects the other one in real time.
It's been a couple of months since I was real sad about my brother. And the other day, driving in the car, listening to a specific song, and it just broke me. It just broke me. Like I had to pull over and sob and sob and sob. And I'm not going to choke that back. I'm not going to like sniffle it away. I'm not going to whatever, because there's something inside of me that needs to come out, right? Yeah. And it is perfectly acceptable to let that come out. And I don't care if you're alone in your car, which I happen to have been, or whatever, like let it out, like let that come. I think that is where that it's just it's healthy to recognize, to speak that truth to others. My wife caught me at the very end of that. I was picking her up from work, and she walks out, and I was just like, and she was like, "What is going on?" Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, baby, you know, I just listened to a Bruce Springsteen song, and
hit me.
That was it."
Sometimes. Have you ever, has someone ever asked you, like, oh, how are you doing? And you're like, in your head, you're like, you should have seen me 35 minutes ago.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because the look on my face is
Yeah.
like, oh,
I'm doing great.
Like,
Oh my
you, like,
gosh. Yeah.
literally should have just seen me 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You'd be crying, watching me cry. Like,
Right.
it was awful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's,
I'm going to jump off the mic.
why?
Well, because someone's got to edit.
Okay. Fine, get out of here.
We got the Russ story,
All right.
and we got the context.
Go do your job.
And I like being behind camera.
Thanks, Rye.
Yeah.
Russ, we usually talk about the day of, like finding out, getting the news of the loved one passing away.
Yeah.
Is that something you're comfortable
Yeah,
talking about?
we can talk about that.
And then we can go wherever else you want to go from there.
My my brother struggled with addiction for quite a while. I mean, I think most of his life, honestly, since he was like a young teenager. And I mean, I think I at least recognized that the way that it ended was an option. I mean, it didn't take me by surprise, because I recognized in him, and kind of in that road that he was on, that there weren't a lot of options. He was trying real hard to get clean. He tried multiple times. He went to programs several times.
Can I ask what drugs he was taking? Or?
I think for him it was mostly alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah, for him it was just alcohol. And yeah, he got himself clean, and I think that there was a moment of clarity for him where I want to be really careful about what I say.
Yeah, take your time.
I don't know what went through his mind, but in his after getting clean, he made the decision that he didn't want to fight anymore. And that fills me with sadness, rage, disappointment. Because I could kind of see. Do you mind if I talk about this for a second? Like, kind of. So this is one of the most interesting. So from my perspective, right? So, he and I had a really good relationship. At least I felt like it was.
Yeah. Was he your older brother, or?
No, I'm the oldest.
You're the older brother.
Yeah. So he's about 6 years younger than I was. And we had a really good relationship. We would go see movies. We would go out to dinner quite often. He lived up in Salt Lake area, and so we were real close, and were able to do all of that. And I personally have a life philosophy of kind of living in the moment. I'm philosophically Buddhist. I believe very much in the now, that there's no past.
I don't want to be too dramatic, but I think that's the point of life, honestly, is being in the moment.
In the moment, right?
I think that's what makes grief hard. Is you got to be in the moment and still show love and respect to people who aren't here anymore that you love, but you also need to be in the moment for the people who are living. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go on a tangent. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So the thing is I was always, he would disappear for days sometimes, and there was always that wonder, like, are we going to see him again?
So it was that bad. Like, it was,
Yeah, he was really struggling.
Because sometimes when people take their own life, it's like like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
But
And I have no, I mean, I have no idea what his wife went through. I can't imagine the level of trauma and sacrifice and love that she must have shown, that she did show for him, the behind the scenes stuff that I never saw. My sister was quite a bit more involved with him than I was. I mean, as far as like what's going on and how can we
Right.
help. And we were me and my brother were,
you guys are brothers. They were
we were a
brother
bit,
sister.
yeah, we were a bit manly about it. Like, how's it
Right.
going?
I'm
Going
fine.
good. Everything's fine. It's great. Let's go get a burger, you know? And so
Yeah.
there was some level of that. And, I purposefully spent as much time with him. I purposely spend as much time as I can with everyone, right?
Yeah.
Because we really don't know the last time we're going to see somebody.
No, that's why I
right?
love your philosophy of being in the moment. I think
Right.
I think it's
Yeah.
that's I think that's one of the lessons of grief is they can just be gone.
Right.
So we have to really value today.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. At any moment we could be taken in what for whatever reason, right? The thing that surprised me was the last time. So this didn't surprise me. I'll tell you the last time I spoke with my brother. We went out to eat. And we went and got a burger and we talked about all the stuff that we talk about. I could tell that he was deeply sad. I could tell that he was struggling, and he was kind of that tough guy kind of persona. And the last thing I said to him was, I am here for whatever you need. I'm here for you. Just say something. Just tell me what I can do. And he said, as he got out of the car, I just can't. And then he said, I love you, buddy. And I said, I love you, buddy. And that was the last time we talked. What was interesting to me, though, about my own kind of life philosophy, because I do think of myself as living in the now and like really, embracing the moment, that, and also anticipating that there might be a day when he wasn't around, right? For whatever reason, however that ended up, that he just might not be around. I thought, I've done everything I can. I've given all I can. I've given every minute I possibly could. I've shown him all the love that I could. He knew that I loved him. I'm going to be okay. And then when he wasn't there, my life still fell apart. And that was so interesting to me as a psychology teacher, as a sociology teacher, as someone that, I'm inside my head way too much. But to recognize that much of my grief was selfish. I just want to get old with him. I just want to do all the things that brothers are supposed to do forever until we're 89.
So you think it's selfish because you're thinking like I'm missing out on the moments with my brother.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and it,
So you're kind of making it about you, like your life.
absolutely.
Instead of like my poor brother.
Like my brother's gone,
Yeah.
which was awful. Right? Like, I'm not saying it wasn't, but
I say it all the time, but grief makes you selfish.
Grief
it does.
Oh my
because
gosh,
you're just
did it.
consumed with your own pain.
Yes.
And you just can't really have the energy and effort for anyone else's.
Yeah.
Man, it took me, I think around the year mark, I remember like, wow, like my parents are probably hurting. So like,
right.
Like couldn't even.
Absolutely.
And obviously I knew they were, but like to really like, wow, like.
Oh, they might be going through the same things.
How are they doing? Like maybe I can do something for them. Like, no, I totally understand that part of it for sure. Yeah.
Man, it was, yeah.
So when you said you were frustrated, because you mentioned I was angry, I was sad, I was frustrated.
Yeah.
You were frustrated at the situation because you weren't frustrated with your relationship.
No.
And that's some people's guilt and frustration.
Absolutely. No, we had a great, we were brothers.
So you were just frustrated that my brother isn't here anymore. And
yeah.
And then the anger is like, yeah, that's fucking bullshit.
Absolutely.
anger and sadness. I think there's lots of emotions with grief. I think anger, sadness, and guilt are probably my top three.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you rank them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, Anger and sadness are so polarized. They're so opposite.
Oh my gosh.
Is that how it is for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Anger, I get shit done. Like, let's start a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do something. And then sadness is just, I don't want to live. I don't know why I get to live. I don't know why
Right.
anyone's living. What are we
Right.
doing here?
Right.
What's the point of anything?
Absolutely.
And then I think because then there's moments, I don't know if this is with you, Russ, but some days I'm feeling angry and sad. And they're two polarizing emotions.
Yeah.
So the way my body handles it is I just get anxious. I just get anxious because I don't know what.
Right. What
I
am I
don't know
supposed to
what
be doing?
do I go? Am I mad or sad? I don't know what to do.
Right. Right.
And so then I just get anxiety, and feeling of stuck, and like I don't even know how to grieve. I don't know what direction to take this thing in.
Yeah.
And I'm just how do you navigate these different? I mean, you mentioned anger, sadness, frustration. I just want to know what works for you. What's hell, or maybe you're just in a shit show still and you're a
So
mess.
I just feel really blessed. I feel like I am a pretty healthy human, like mentally.
You're very smart.
I'm a fairly, well, I don't know about smart, but I
You have
definitely
very
know.
large vocabulary. I wish you said Kurt. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, who's Kurt? When did Kurt come into the story? I wish I was smart like you, because like I don't know how to express what I'm saying sometimes. Then you're coming in here with Kurt and whatever. Like, it's very, yeah. I like it, man.
Well, I do. I mean, I don't know about that. I do know that I feel like I deal with things generally in a healthy manner. I feel like I am healthy. I'm very blessed to have a couple of grown adult children who are really good mirrors for me. They tell me when I'm wrong, and I feel like I've just been much better at kind of as
I think you know what your morals are.
Yeah.
And you don't budge on them at all. And I think the way you live your life in society, every decision you're making is going back to that moral compass.
Yeah.
And so I think that gives you the confidence and personality that, like, you'll go do a riot. You don't care because you know right away that this is conflicting with a core issue for me, with what I truly believe. And so, yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from you, is you're just kind of like your brother, a straight shooter. You know what you believe in, and you understand that people have different beliefs, and that's okay. But you also know it's okay to stand up for my beliefs.
Absolutely.
And I respect that a lot. Yeah.
So within a couple of days of him passing, I just did what I would have told someone else to do.
You're just on autopilot.
So like I reached out to, well, no, I was very purposeful in the way that I was like, okay. I don't know how long this healing process is going to take, but I do have to heal. And it was just a couple of days into it.
You didn't run away from this thing.
No, absolutely no. I jumped right in the center of it.
I could not do that. I ran.
So I immediately called a therapist. I wasn't currently seeing anybody, but I was like, okay, I'm going to jump right back on that. As soon as I can get into a therapist, I'm going to have a conversation. I set it up to be very regular. I was like, look, I'm not going to be doing this month by month. I need to do it week by week, right? Like I really need to be meeting somebody, really having that out. I'm expressive. I'm artistically expressive. And so I just grabbed myself an art journal and I started art on left side of page, words on right side of page.
Wow.
And I just would scribble and scratch and tear and throw paint and do whatever, and quotes and songs that meant something to him for a long time. I really like fantasy books. And I would draw these fantasy maps, and then I would use words and phrases from songs off of his playlists as places.
That's so cool. So
Because I
like,
like the idea of him being in the undiscovered country.
and it's his world almost. Like this is a
Right.
map of.
He's somewhere.
This is a map of his personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can pick, like, if you open up like a Lord of the Rings book or something,
Right.
like they'll have maps. Of,
Exactly.
Like, yeah, that's
exactly, just over and over I was drawing these maps of where he was, and
just some form of expression.
Right.
Like I need
Yep.
to express this somehow.
My own anger, my own sadness, and I was just journaling.
Did you realize, because I realized this too, like, man, like, is this where art and music comes from? Is grief? Like, is it? And like my understanding and appreciation for all that stuff shifted.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a podcast all on its own.
No, it really is.
What a fantastic conversation.
No, really. And same thing with my perspective of being outside totally shifted too, for I think similar reasons.
Yeah.
Just you're literally like, you're grabbing your chest and you're smiling and crying at the same time. You're so I think it's just that, like, you haven't run away from it. You're learning to handle all these emotions together.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of a weird thing, but I would love to put it out for whoever ends up listening to this. I was so lucky. I reached out to his wife a time later, and I said, like, hey, can you send me his playlists? And she just forwarded me every playlist he had ever made. You should make a playlist and share it with people. It's so wild for me to listen to his songs and be like,
wow,
man, does this tell me something about him?
Yeah.
And I certainly knew the music that he loved, right? Like, he was a huge Metallica guy. He was a huge Bruce Springsteen guy. He was a huge, he loved like country music, right? He listened to Chris Stapleton, right? Like, we went to a Chris Stapleton concert together, the two of us, you know? But I just realized it's so like illustrative of a life lived when you listen to someone's favorites, right? Like, you don't have to like what I like, but man, if you listen to my favorites, you'd know something about me.
No, I totally, that's why I ask people, like, usually we end the podcast top 3 favorite movies, because it's just a little like, oh, okay, like, you kind of learned about them through the movies or through their music, or
Russ wants to do both.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll talk movies all day long. Like,
you came to the right podcast.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love
being with your big brain on sociology. And I just want to talk to you, like, suicide and society. Like, how do we help people like your brother? What can we do?
Here's what I need somebody within the sound of our voice to come up with, and I won't even sue you if you do this. I want you to come up. We need to start having conversations. And in the last year, I've come to call them semicolon conversations. So a lot of people talk about like the semicolon being like something, there's something that's going to come after this, right? I'm going to get a semicolon tattoo or whatever because life was bad, but then it got better, right? The thing I think that we miss in life is when I call you, if you're a good friend or a family member and I am in a black place and I say to you, hey man, you got a couple of minutes? All you hear is, do you have a couple of minutes? You don't hear that blackness.
Yeah.
That I've just thrown my own lifeline to you, but you don't know it. And I think we need to normalize a conversation where I'm like, hey man, this is semicolon conversation. You got a couple of minutes? And at that, you're going to go, hell yeah, I'm on my way. Because you know that it's not a normal conversation and that I'm asking for help.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that we need to change the way that we talk about it. We have these suicide awareness weeks all the time, and they're fantastic, and we certainly need them. People need to be aware. But we need to be willing, and this goes back to what Ryan did. We need to be willing to do for ourselves what we want others to do for themselves. And that is to say, hey man, I'm not doing well. Like I'm struggling right now. And I don't even know what that means, right? Like I don't even know what I want you to do. I'm just throwing that line to you. Maybe I need you to hold on to my guns for a couple of days. Maybe I need to stay at your house for a couple of days. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is a semicolon conversation, right?
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think it's true. And then also the stigma that comes with it. And people can deal with ideation,
Right.
suicidal thoughts, and be a great dad, be a great employee.
100%.
And I think guys, like, okay, if I do ask for help, if I truly open up and tell them how fucked up I am,
Right.
maybe I won't be able to work.
Right.
Maybe my kids won't respect me.
Absolutely.
Maybe my wife won't want to be
Does
married.
it show weakness?
Yeah. And
Right.
so like, instead of viewing it as like, I'm still a person, like
Yeah.
I'm still Steve, but I
Right.
have this issue.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard. And this goes back to what you're saying when you said, I need to talk to you or something. Like they don't understand the feeling of it.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to open up and be vulnerable, because if you open up and it falls on deaf ears and people don't care, or you don't get the validation that you needed.
Absolutely.
There are few things that feel worse than
Absolutely.
that. And I think that's a big reason why is like I can't open up, because
right.
if they don't care like I care,
right.
there's no point for me to live anyway.
Right.
Like I don't, like it's so scary to them.
Absolutely.
And that's just something I'm trying to do with the podcast, is just to create an environment where like you can talk about it and not be judged. And not only like you can deal with suicide ideation and still be the basketball coach and the big brother.
Yes.
And the great, you can still do both. I just feel like people, like if I open up and talk about it, I'm going to lose all my credibility.
Right.
Like I'm going to lose on what people, how they view me.
Yeah.
And I think that
if you lose credibility with anyone, I don't know if they're worth having in your life.
Right.
I mean, I know that that's like a super, terrible thing to say. But if I say to somebody, hey, I'm thinking about hurting myself, and they laugh or they joke or they're like, why are you telling me? I don't know if they're worth keeping around.
But I don't think
right?
So. But when that happens, they never talk about it again.
Absolutely.
If someone jokes about it, or if they just start talking about them,
right?
Like, well, I went through a divorce too,
right?
Or it's like, well,
right?
That's great, but I was telling you about my
life,
and if they have a bad experience, they will not talk about it.
But I mean, this is why we have to talk about it, because it's not. We haven't normalized it yet, and people don't know how to react, right?
Yeah.
And I certainly, so maybe now I'm going back on, because when somebody takes it lightly or dismisses you or makes a joke about it, I don't know that they don't really care. I think that they don't really know what to say, and they're like,
yes.
oh.
I think that's 100% spot on. I don't think they're actually being a dick.
Right.
They are so uncomfortable and they have no idea what to say.
They just don't know what to say.
They're like, well, I'll just tell them my thing, because I don't know what else to do.
Right.
Or maybe we can laugh and I'll make them feel better and ease this tension, because they're so uncomfortable. And that, I'm so glad you said that, because I'm able to give people a lot of grace when they say something to me that pisses me off.
Yeah.
The way I view it,
that's a good point. Yeah.
They don't mean to piss. They're trying to be nice.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to let them be nice. But, oh, man, I think that is 100% so true. Couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah. Oof. One of the things that I've tried to do, and I really owe our school counselor for this. When I was I was lucky, I guess, to be on Christmas break as I was when I was dealing with the initial death of my brother, and so I had 2 weeks to kind of deal and whatever. And I don't know if not being at work was better than being at work,
Yeah.
like having something to do.
But like you came back to work and none of your like when you went to Christmas break, everything
Yeah,
was fine.
right. Everything's fine. I did reach out to multiple coworkers, and I'm like, I said, because again, I thought, first of all, what does a healthy person do? And the second thing I thought is, what would I want them to do? Right? If one of my coworkers who I'm close with had lost a sibling, would I want to know about it over Christmas break? And the answer is, of course I would. Right?
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, look, I'm not asking you to do anything, right? But I need you to know that I've just lost my brother. I feel like the world is ending, but I need my best friends to know that. And because I work at a super great school and we're like very, very close with each other. So I let them know. And I said, and if you feel like other coworkers need to know, right? Like some of those maybe who are in the next circle out, I'm not going to announce that to them, but I'm going to kind of let them know. And so I did let them know, and they were kind of aware of that. And then I came back after those 2 weeks, and our counselor, she's just a phenomenally sensitive, kind, thoughtful, expressive human. And she was like, number one, I'm here for you. Like if there's anything you need, if you have a moment of break, I'm like where you think, oh, the world is ending. She goes, just call me, like my cell phone to your cell phone. She goes, I'm just going to come down. I'll cover for you in your classes, and you can just escape. Just you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
I'm here for that. And then I said, like, I don't remember even how it came up. Like if I asked or she, whatever, and she was like, tell our kids as much as you feel comfortable with. Right? Like, let them know where you're at. And because a lot of my students had experienced loss already, they were so sweet and so kind and so thoughtful. Because on that first day back, I was like, hey, everybody else is rested and happy to be back and whatever. And I'm mad and sad and exhausted because this is what happened. And my kids were the best.
I love that you told your coworkers and your students. And the golden rule that guy Jesus is always talking about, like treat other people how you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
I love that's what I do with my grief, because it's so hard to know what to do.
Absolutely.
And that's the question I ask myself is what would I want them to do or give to me?
Right.
And that's just kind of how I operate with it. And so I love your take on that. Yeah.
A few years ago, I was talking with a buddy, and he was really struggling at the time. We were separated by a significant distance, but we were having a conversation. And he was like, man, I'm really struggling right now. I'm really sad. I don't really know what to do. And we had a group of friends that we had all been a part of, but was kind of out of it at that point. And I said, oh my gosh, have you told the guys that this is happening? And he goes, no, they've all got their own lives. Like they're all buried in their own lives. And I said, hey, knowing what you are currently going through, that you and I are right now talking about, if one of those guys called you and said that they were struggling,
I'll be right
what
over.
would you do? And he goes, I would be there right now. And I said, then why would you deny them the opportunity to do that for you? Why not allow people to serve us? Because we would serve them, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't show weakness. It's the harder of the two things. Keeping it inside is harder than saying to a friend, yo, I need you. I need whatever it is. That is hard to say. But I want my friends to say that to me so that I can serve them in the way that they served me when my brother died.
It's weird how we're, because I'm the same way. Like, yeah, I'll be there, but like, it's so hard to ask.
Right. But then say, yeah.
It's the same thing with guilt. Like, when anyone ever tells me about their guilt, I'm like, that's crazy. You don't need to feel guilt. But then when it comes to me, I'm like, I feel awful.
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
It's so weird,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. Somehow we feel like we're different than, and it's like, why?
It's like we just can't give ourselves the same grace. Yeah. How is your, it's been a year. It's not a long time.
No.
So I should have questions. How's your brother's family doing? I mean, obviously not good, but like, how's the year been for them?
I think that they're all dealing with it as best they can.
They talk about it, like, because you're just, I mean, you'll talk about it.
Sure. Yeah.
And even in the intro, like talking about his addiction, like some people never want to talk about that. Like, let's not tell him he was an addict.
Right.
And you're like, I just was curious how they're handling their grief, if it was similar to you, or because like you said, everyone handles it a little bit differently.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it makes me a little bit sad. So just kind of thinking about the addict stuff, and then we can come back to the other. I never saw that. It never bothered me that he was addicted to whatever. I mean, I know that there's a stigma there, but again, I just don't know why there is.
You just saw how a normal human's supposed to see it. I think is like, this is my brother Steve, and he also drinks, but that's not his identity.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not his identity.
That's not who he is.
And then, one of the times that he went to get clean, he went to this sober living, environment, and it felt like he was sort of embarrassed about going. And I was like, I see that kind of that treatment center as like going back to the gym. I've let myself go. I'm not as healthy as I want to be. I'm going to go. I'm going to eat more healthy. I'm going to lift some weights. I'm going to get, whatever. And I was like, you going to this sober living place is just going back to the gym. It's not a thing. It doesn't, in my mind. And I'm sorry if people think that it's a thing or whatever. I just,
we're all addicted to something.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So what are we even talking about? And so if your thing's alcohol and you don't want to talk about it because people will make fun of you, well, that's the people who are addicted to being mean, and they're addicted to that, which is just as bad as alcohol sometimes.
Right.
But
absolutely.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to come across that way, but I just
don't know. Yeah, so my family we're definitely checking on each other. So we're like, how are you doing? But we are still, I mean, we're mostly Gen X, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of had that Gen X kind of way of like, you okay? I'm okay. I'm okay. Right. You okay?
I'll see you Thanksgiving in 8 months.
See, we're doing great. Whatever. And and again, I mean, I think I know that we would be there for each other, but we're also not like feeling people. We're not like the family in general.
Yeah.
Is not like, how are you feeling and what's going on? It's like we're kind of dealing with it on our own.
What's something that surprised you about grief that maybe you weren't expecting, or just kind of like, wow, I didn't think it'd be like this? Anything like that?
The ferocity for me, like the ferocity of the grief was, I'm trying to find a word. It was beyond shocking. It hit me like a train over and over and over again, right? Like the first time it hit me, I was like, okay, was real. And then to have it kind of sneak up, it must have been, I don't know, the first day or the second day. I'd been inside all day long, and I just was like, I've got to like get some air and see the mountains and whatever. And I walked out front, and the sun was setting, and I thought, and it was, I mean, anyone who's gone through grief, this moment, right? Where you're like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. and then all of that, everything comes crashing in. So you think, I should I should send a picture of this to Steve, and you're just like, and then you're like, Steve's never going to see that. Like, he's never going to see that again. And that was that at that moment that I like collapsed in my front yard and was just like, I couldn't draw a breath. I was so racked with sadness over the loss of him.
Would you say, just from my experience and just listening to you, because you mentioned how, like, when these waves of grief come, just embrace it and feel it totally, like pulling over in your car and just losing it.
Yeah.
It's like that sadness that takes you to your knees probably doesn't do that anymore a year later, I'm assuming. Like, maybe some moments, maybe.
Yeah.
But what do you think it is that helps you carry this sadness, and now you can talk about it on a podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Is that just time and getting used to the pain and learning how to carry it? Or, like, what advice do you have on how that process gets better?
I mean, Dave, I think we've talked about all of these things as we've gone, right? Like, number one, live in the moment. Recognize that the people in your life will only be here for this moment, that there will be at some point, whether that is 1 second from now or 50 years from now, you'll lose all of the people in our lives. That's just the way life is, right?
That's death. Like,
That's death. That's the way,
the
right?
beginning of this podcast is dead. It's over.
Yeah.
Never have it back.
Exactly. So, like, living in that moment, like recognizing that, you only have these times. I think recognizing your own emotions once those people are gone, giving yourself the grace that you deserve. Like, it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to be sad that you didn't do the things you wanted to do with them. Or in my case, I have no guilt about what I didn't do. I only have sadness of what I won't get to do. But I think that just recognizing that, and then allowing whatever emotions are there to come, to name them if you can. I am 11 months of tracking my emotions every day. So for the past 11 months, 3 times a day, I say, this is how I'm feeling. And like, I'm tracking that.
Like morning, noon,
Yes.
evening?
Yep.
And you just have a journal or phone, or
There's an app on my phone. Yep. I think it's called How You Feel.
why
Or
do you
something
want
like
why
that.
do you want to track your emotions for 11 months?
So I think every human should track their emotions. I think recognizing, so this app, and I'm not pushing this app, I'm sure there are other apps out there. I have some social and emotional training for my school. And one of the things that we went through was one through Yale University. And they suggested this app. I love this app because it recognizes emotions as like high energy positive, low energy positive, high energy negative, and low energy negative. And then and every time you push on any of those emotions, it gives you a definition. And even somebody who, like me, who I feel like I'm fairly emotionally intelligent, to hit a button and say, I'm disappointed, and then read that definition and be like, oh, I'm not really disappointed. Right? Like and then to kind of hunt around and be like, oh, yeah. No, that's how I'm feeling. And then just to acknowledge how I'm feeling, recognize like maybe there are what the roots of that is, and then move on through the day. So that's one of the goals that I've just set for myself.
I think emotional intelligence is, extremely important and
Right.
Not taught about enough.
Agreed.
And I'm not sure why.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tracking your emotions, does that just help with that process of
Absolutely.
understanding your emotional intelligence
Absolutely.
and seeing it kind of like a big picture?
Yeah.
So from the big picture across those 11 months, like, what were your emotions like? Like, how did you label them? Or do you remember? Is that not how it works? Or?
No, that absolutely, and you can go back and look at
I'm just curious.
Day and month, like, and
are you
whatever.
In the red? Are you in the
Yeah, I am absolutely in the positive side of I feel real good most days.
Yeah.
And so that's been really, really healthy. But I also think, as we were talking, like kind of how do we deal with these things? I think that that's one of them. I think that recognizing what emotion you're feeling and giving it a name, like, hey man, I'm mad right now and I'm mad at whatever. I think that that's really healthy.
Oh, yeah.
To recognize. The other thing I like about this app is it has a messaging service.
Mm-hmm.
So you can choose every time I enter an emotion. It's like, would you like to share this with your wife?
Oh, wow.
And I put her on. And so it's like, rather than be like, hey baby, whatever, she just gets a little message that's like, hey, Russ wants you to know that he's feeling X. And that's nice.
Yeah. How often do you talk about Steve, or how often do you, like the story where you were just doing this artwork,
right?
Scratching and then writing these words.
Yeah.
How often are you doing something like that daily or weekly or monthly to kind of express your grief still?
So I'm really lucky because I am a teacher. And I'm with a lot of my students who are dealing with these kinds of trauma. When I do my very best that when it comes up naturally, I talk about it.
Yeah.
So I talk about, when we're talking about addiction, I talk about my brother. When we talk about, potentially thinking about hurting yourself, I talk about my brother. Suicide Awareness Week, for crying out loud, right? Like every day I was crying in front of my classes, but like, listen, this is valuable. I miss my brother, right? If you are feeling this way, things get better. Someone cares. And you might have to work through a couple of idiots who don't give you the response that you want. Find someone.
Yeah.
Because we're here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, having those kind of conversations, I'm really lucky to be able to talk about him fairly naturally and also fairly healthy.
No, I think that's something that I do with Blue pretty well. Like, I encourage him, like, hey, if you're doing a school artwork or whatever, like, you can talk about them and draw pictures of them. And then we let the teacher know. And yeah, just letting him feel like you can always talk about it whenever.
100%.
And I think that's been helpful for him. What are your beliefs on where's Steve at right now? Like, where do we go when we die? Let's get Buddhist. Let's get weird. Or what do you think?
So, I was raised LDS.
Me too.
I am still an active member of the church.
Right
I
on.
am a heavily tattooed, sometimes
so you're a cool
sweary member of the LDS church.
Okay.
I teach Sunday school. I still live in the ward that I grew up in. My mom and dad sit on the front row of my Sunday school class. And this is the way I teach. This is who I am. And I love the idea of a universe that knows my name. Since being a high school teacher, obviously, I don't think that obviously it's not okay to push your beliefs on kids.
Yeah, it was hard being a psychology teacher in high school because you couldn't talk about religion or sex, and that's like the two main things that drive human behavior.
Right. That's why I love sociology, because we have an entire unit on religion, so we can talk about
how do you talk about Sigmund Freud and not sex?
Oh yeah,
and cocaine. Like that's all.
Yeah, it is seriously. And so, what were we talking about?
I forgot it too. What were we talking? We got distracted with sex and cocaine.
That's about where you thought Steve was.
Oh yeah.
So I've
Universe
changed.
knows your name.
So I've changed. Universe knows your name. I've changed from the time that I first started teaching. I just make the universe synonymous with God. So I don't say God thinks this, but I say like the universe is thinking about you, or the universe has reached out to you, or the universe, whatever. Because I do believe that there is something out there. I think it's a heavenly Father. I think that there's more to that as well, and we can have that conversation on a different religious podcast, maybe. But I think that I want to believe that there's somewhere else.
Yeah.
That there's somewhere safe and beautiful and warm and supporting, and that the people that we love are there to welcome us when we go there. I hope that there's a lot of fishing. My grandma and grandpa were big fisher people.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the idea of Steve sitting on the bank of a real beautiful lake.
Let's go get a burger in heaven somewhere and go fishing.
Yeah, I really like that. So I do I do want there to be somewhere else. In the Buddhist kind of philosophy though, I just want to focus on the now. I'm trying not to worry about heaven. I'm just thinking about this minute, right? The Buddha was like, "Hey, I don't know." He anytime they would push him, he was like, "I don't know."
Yeah, for me, it's like if there is a God, and I can't control him. Like it's out of my realm.
Absolutely,
but I can control what's in this moment.
Yep.
So
I can control what I do,
right,
and
how I respond to
absolutely.
Whatever.
Yeah, this is. I mean, that's why we're having this conversation, right? It's like how I respond to the things that are happening around me. I think are so powerful. And then if there's not a heaven or whatever, we'll never know because we'll just blink out.
Yeah.
Right. But if there is, you've spent a lifetime being kind and generous and supportive. Right. And that is worth
a good life lived.
Exactly.
Either way. Yeah. Anything else before we get to top 10 Metallica songs? Anything else you want to talk about with grief, your grief journey, your goals with your grief a year from now? I don't know if there's goals with grief. I don't know.
I mean, I think we have to be careful about like, I found myself thinking like, well, Steve wouldn't want me to do that, or Steve wouldn't want me to whatever. And
Steve would want you to be happy.
Exactly. Right. And I think that there is value in that, right? But I shouldn't be living my life based on what he would want. But at the same time, I need to live the life that's best for me. And with him always in my heart.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to carry him to my death, right? He's going to be with me. And so, yeah, there's part of, gosh dang, this last September, my oldest daughter and I, we went to the Metallica concert in Seattle. It was 2 days, 2 separate playlists.
Wow.
It was freaking awesome. And the two of us stood there without my brother and without his son, who we would have liked to have talked into coming with us.
Yeah.
And, we're throwing the devil horns up as, singing Nomad Vagabond, call me what you will. It was freaking awesome.
Call me what you will.
We're just like screaming at the top of our lungs, not looking at each other because we know we're both like having a moment of like catharsis, like let's live, come squeeze and suck the day.
Yeah.
Metallica tells us, right? Like come carpe diem, baby.
Wow, you like the old school.
I freaking love, like I believe that, And so, yeah, gosh, we lived that couple of days for ourselves, but also kind of for him too.
Yeah.
And that felt good,
Yeah, for me, like that's just as spiritual of a moment than anything you'd get in a church building.
Amen.
Like
100%. I was standing there in the church of Metallica, praying to,
But it's the feeling of togetherness, community in that moment with that song, and you're all feeling the same words and the same. Yeah, it's a powerful thing. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for what happened to your brother, man. I think the way you're handling it is so great, though. I don't know what else to do other than talk about it and try to help other people with it. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah. It's absolutely. I love what you guys are doing here. I think it's a great service. And for everyone who is struggling with this, right? Like you are not alone.
Right.
Even if it's just two guys on a microphone, like, listen, we've felt it. We're here.
I think when you feel alone, I think another reason people won't ask for help is they feel so alone and betrayed that you get this feeling that people should just come to you. Like, they should just magically.
Yeah, they should just know.
And like, no, like, as messed up as it is and as bad as you're hurting, like, you actually have to go get the help. Like, people are there willing to do it, but
absolutely,
you have to want to meet people.
Right.
You have to want to not be alone.
Right. And it's not as obvious as people think that it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes the battle isn't, I can't get friends. Sometimes the battle is you don't want friends.
Right.
Like, you just want to be alone.
Absolutely.
And then you want to complain about being alone.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of in this circle, a pity party that you can't break through. But yeah.
You know, I do have another story.
Please share.
That made just a huge difference. One of my best friends, within a few days, I mean, of course he knew, but he's also incredibly empathetic. His name's Ethan. And he was just so thoughtful and so kind. And he like sat across the table from me as I just sobbed. And he said to me, your job for the next foreseeable future is to live. The things that you used to love will feel like work to do. Do them anyway. And he's like, so when are we going to the movie? And I was like, screw you, man. We're not, like, I have zero interest in like whatever. And he goes, I know. When are we going? Like, you have to live.
Wow, yeah. I say this a lot, but being heartbroken and wanting to die, that's the easy part of grief.
Well, absolutely.
Because that just comes natural.
It comes natural.
The unnatural part is exactly what you said. Like, you got to be happy again.
Right.
You got to want to be happy
move
again without your brother. You got to go fishing without your brother again and enjoy it.
Yeah. I got to go to Metallica without my brother.
And enjoy, and like yeah, like that.
Get it on. Yeah.
That's one of the real struggles of grief. And that's been the really hard because now you feel like you're betraying him almost.
Like, absolutely.
I'm gonna be happy.
How can I be happy without him?
I'm gonna play basketball again?
Yeah. No.
I'm gonna fall in love again?
Absolutely.
How could you?
No way.
But that's the hard part is
right.
And it's not just hard emotionally. Depending on the story, but like with my family, like the way they died, like a sandstorm. So now I had this anxiety too of like, man, you could just get wiped out doing anything.
Right.
And having to face that fear of like, you got to go live anyway.
Yeah.
Or else you're just going to die not doing anything. It's a different type of death, but you're dead.
You're dead. Right.
Yeah. And that's why that quote is like, most people die when they're 14 and then they die 60 years later, their second death when they're old. But like they died a long time ago with how they're living their life. So yeah, man, grief's funny because it's connected to almost anything. So the conversation can just go any direction.
It can just go anywhere.
Yeah, because we're dealing with people and people love different things, whether it's Metallica or whatever. And it's just I've learned so much by just digging my heels into the pain and the grief of it versus trying to sugarcoat everything.
Yeah.
Man, well said. Like when you were talking to me, I'm like, man, this is what I believe in. It was like getting
kind of just reaffirmation from a different part of the universe, right?
Wanted to throw up the horns with you, man. Like, amen. Like, Russ, anything else, or are we ready for top 10? Well, are we doing movies first?
Gosh, I'll talk about books and movies and music like all day long. So you tell me what you want to talk about, and I'm there.
Let's knock out top 3 movies real quick. And then top 10. Metallica songs.
Okay, cool,
If
cool.
you're down, is that?
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that's a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's Metallica. Like, how could you do? At first, I'm like, we should do top 5. I'm like, I can't do top 5.
Yeah.
I'm leaving so many good songs out.
So I have a playlist.
Okay, let's do movies first.
Okay.
Movies first.
All right. Okay, so let's see. My third favorite movie. So this is tough for me when we talk about favorite movies because I think about like movies that are meaningful and beautiful and whatever, and then movies that I would want to watch again.
So it's Desert Island style. You get 3 movies the rest of your life.
Okay.
If you pick a movie like Fast and the Furious or Harry Potter, you get all of those movies.
Okay. All right, that's fair. I do love Tombstone. I think Tombstone
I was hoping it'd be in there. I gotta go watch it again after that.
Tombstone is so over Christmas break, I sat myself down for the first time in a year.
This is just what we were talking about.
And I was like, okay, this is something that needs to heal. Because first of all, I freaking love this movie. I love the movie, right?
Great, gritty.
And my brother would reference it all the time. My sister, we love it. We love it. And so I was like, I'm doing it because I love this movie and I deserve to watch it when I want to watch it. And so I just sat down and I just freaking loved it again. Right. So that was great. So that's maybe number 3. And then this is kind of, it's weird, but I love Atomic Blonde.
Never
with,
seen that one.
Oh shoot, I just lost her name.
Atomic Blonde. What year?
Stop. It just came out a little bit of it makes me mad when I can't think of
It's a newer movie?
things. Yeah.
Man.
It's with Charlize Theron.
Okay.
Yeah, it's set in the late 80s. It's in Berlin, and it's a female version of John Wick. She's just a kick-ass.
Someone murdered her dog, her
agent.
cat.
She is an agent sent into East Berlin to like find the mole, and the soundtrack is crazy good. It's hardcore 88, 89, which is like when I graduated from high school. Yep. And so it's just like every one of them is a banger, just like great songs, fantastic fight scenes. I watch it all the time. Like I just love like parts of it when she's kicking some guy's trash. I love that.
Have you ever seen the movie Kick-Ass?
Oh, I love, yeah.
It's kind of giving me those vibes.
Have you read the comic book?
No.
Okay, we can talk about that later.
I didn't know there was
Oh my gosh.
I love Kick-Ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had low expectations going to that movie, but I'm like, this is good. That scene when they have the strobe light, and she's murdering all of it. I'm like, damn, this is
so good.
All right, I'll just check that out. Okay, and then number 1.
Okay, my number 1 movie of all time is called Leon. And it was originally called The Professional. It's with
an assassin movie.
He's an assassin
and trains like a girl. There's a little girl in it.
Yep. It's Natalie Portman's first movie. She's 12.
She does good. It's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, he but trains this.
Yeah, so he trains her, whatever. But the thing is I don't like violent movies where there isn't where there isn't consequences to the violence. I don't like movies where I'm like, you killed my family, so I'm going to kill you, and then I'm going to go back to work. I don't think that happens. I don't think that's the real life. I
don't think that happens.
think violence, it begets violence, and I think it creates.
Yeah, you either end up dead or in jail.
Right. It's awful.
Yeah.
This movie is great, and there are real consequences to the violence, and so I could watch it over and over.
Justice is served in that movie. Yeah.
Yep, and it felt great. I love it. I'd watch anything by Luc Besson. He's the director.
I haven't seen that movie forever, but that is a good one.
If you get a chance, watch Leon because it's the European version.
Okay, yeah.
And I really, really, really like it.
Okay. Good movie picks, man. Unique. Are we ready for top 10 Metallica?
Heck yeah.
Dude, I'm so excited for this. How should we do it? Should we go? I'll give my 10 through 5. You'll do your 10 through 5, and then I'll do my 5 to 1, and then you'll take us home?
All right.
Okay, no judgment.
Okay.
Both of you are locked and loaded.
Dude,
Heck yeah. So yeah, that's what I was going to say. I actually have, I have a playlist that I've entitled Metallica Perfectica. And so this is like
I'm excited because I was born in 91.
Cool.
So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Like that's when the Black Album came out.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. So you might appreciate Metallica a different
Cool.
way. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Number 10. For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Ooh, yeah.
Actually, hold on. Sorry. Honorable mention. I have to. No, honorable mention. Because Enter Sandman's not in my top 10.
Okay.
And I feel like that's a popular song for them that a lot of people are like, you didn't. But they are an honorable mention.
Okay.
I do like that
Yeah, that's
song.
fair.
But, and then I also have Black and Seek and Destroy honorable mentions. Okay.
Ooh,
Okay.
yeah.
Here we go. Number 10. For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Okay.
Number 9.
Battery. Oh my gosh.
Number 8. Master of Puppets.
Oof.
Number 7. Orion. Or Orion.
Orion.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool.
And number 6. Welcome Home.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Just when I'm grieving, I'll pop that song on.
Yeah.
Okay, those are 10 through 6 for me. So
Yeah.
I'll do my top 5 after you.
Yeah. So one of the things that actually Ryan suggested was like, one of the conversations that we had the day that I got my tattoo was, he was like, well, you're going to hear Fade to Black differently than you've ever listened to it. And he goes, he literally said, when you're ready, like listen again. And I mean, it tore through me. Like
One of the best written songs ever.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
the guitar is
just so
in the intro
fantastic.
So good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And the words just explain it.
Yeah. If you've ever wanted to know like how somebody is feeling, like who's had like that kind of those suicidal thoughts, man, listen to that song. Those lyrics are just fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think number 10 would be Fade to Black.
Oh man.
I think number 9 would be the Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, you're old school.
Yeah.
That's from Ride the Lightning out.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good guitar.
I loved Cthulhu. This is tough. I think number 8 is probably The Unforgiven.
So good.
I think 7 is probably Battery. That the live version. I am an unsafe driver when that comes on. Like I gotta pull over it. Yeah, it is tough. Was that 7?
Yes, sir. One more.
I think maybe Until It Sleeps.
Yeah. Very good song.
Okay.
Number 5.
Okay.
I have Unforgiven. So good.
So
you label me, I'll label you.
Hold on. I don't mean to.
Yeah, you cut me off. I was belting out.
That was.
What are you talking about?
That was super rude.
Sounded just like James. Like, give me a break.
So my daughter, who is a harder fan of Metallica than I am, she was like, when was the last time you listened to the Unforgiven 3? And I was like, never. Like, I mean, I've heard, I would know it, whatever. She was like, this is Steve's song.
Wow.
And she was like, how can I be lost if I've got nowhere to go? Search the seas of gold. How come it got so cold? How can I be lost in remembrance I relive? And how can I blame you when it's me I can't forgive? Like, that is so great. It's
so
such
good,
a great
dude.
line.
I know.
And she was like, yeah, like how, like just.
Yeah, Unforgiven 2 is good too.
Unforgiven 2 was great. Yeah. Okay, we're back. Go ahead. Sorry,
No.
I won't interrupt you.
If you're gonna interrupt me to read Metallica lyrics, it's fine.
That's a good thing. Okay.
And then this is our, like, from this point on, these could all be number one. It's just,
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
And don't come for me. Like I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Number 4, I have One.
ooh.
Number 3,
Yes.
you already said this one, but my number 3 is Until It Sleeps.
Yes.
That one, I just cry. I just put that on and just cry.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Number 2, Fade to Black. And number 1, it was me and Courtney's song, so it had to be automatic number 1. But it was Nothing Else Matters.
Oh.
Is my number 1 song.
Oh man.
It was tough. I had to leave so many good songs.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at my list right
here. This made me realize how. I mean, they're my favorite band, but this made me realize, like, oh my god, like they are good.
They're good.
Like I had to leave Creeping Death off the list.
Yeah. How do you even?
How do you do that?
Yeah.
All right, take it away. Bring us home.
Number 5. Bleeding Me.
Oh, so good. What album is that from?
Um.
Is that Load?
Yeah, that's Load. Yeah. Bleeding Me and Thorn Within. Those two, like, that's just like so like self. I don't know. Number 4. Carpe Diem Baby.
It's a good one. You mentioned it earlier. I was wondering where you'd have
it. If I were to get like lyrics tattooed somewhere, it would probably be like Carpe Diem Baby.
Yeah,
like I believe deeply in the way he said, like, you got to like tear and shoot the sign, right? Like tear the map and shoot the sign. Like you got to get in it.
That's what you've done with your grief. Like, I think we're number 2. Are we
number 2?
Is that?
Son of a gun.
I know.
Number 2 is gonna be Battery Again.
Battery Again.
Yeah, maybe I'll add Bleeding Me, Thorn Within somewhere in there. Maybe number 2 is Until It Sleeps.
So good.
Yeah, that feels real a lot of the time. Until It Sleeps. And then number 1 absolutely is Wherever I May Roam.
The intro is so good.
Yeah, right. And now it's taken on for me, like Wherever I May Roam is just, it's my brother, right? Like nomad vagabond, call me what you will. You know, and it's like that's what's written on my tombstone, baby. Like I'm roaming the universe.
What's your favorite album?
That's a terrible question.
Because I had a lot of Master of Puppets on there from that album.
Probably Load.
You like Load that much?
I do, yeah. Like, because I have like Until It Sleeps, King Nothing, Bleeding Me, and Thorn Within on my perfect list.
Yeah.
So like, I really liked.
I love the Black album though, right?
I mean, Black album is,
and Justice for All. Like, I only got one. I think I only had the song One from that. I love that whole album.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how hard it was. I was having a panic attack doing this top 10. I'm like, how can I leave these songs out?
Yeah.
And then like Seek and Destroy, like their first album, didn't have any of those on there.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Man. It's tough.
I know. I really got to like Metallica from the Black on.
Yeah.
So I am not like an old Metallica fan. So Master Puppets and Ride the Lightning are all great, but they're just not my thing.
I know Saint Anger isn't their best album, but there's a song off that album called The Unnamed Feeling, and it's so good.
All right.
So good. Maybe listen to that.
Yeah,
I love
on the way home.
Guitar in it, and the lyric, like, tell me anything. I like that song. But
yeah, absolutely.
That was a lot of fun, man. I love Metallica, and I listen to them every day. So that was fun to just and different lists. Like we had some, but like it shows you how good they are. Like,
absolutely.
You could go a lot of different ways here.
Yeah,
Metallica, we love you.
All day, every day.
Steve, rest in peace. And thank you so much for coming on, man.
It's my pleasure.
And remember, life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it.